poem is entitled and Still the River Flows. It's a contemplation of time and what time is, I suppose. Well, it's a huge subject, isn't it? What time is and how it affects us. And the vision that I had when I was writing this poem, I was standing on a bridge over a relatively small river. But I was standing in the middle of the bridge and I was looking, and of course the river was running down and it led into the sea. And I could see the water rising into the clouds, getting taken up in the clouds, and the clouds coming back behind me and raining and then falling into the mountain, and the water coming down again in the river, flowing underneath me, down the river and out into the sea. So there's a cycle, this continuous cycle. So that was part of the motivation for this poem, was that I was looking down the river at the things that had happened to me float away. And the future was coming behind me. That makes sense? The past was flowing out in front of me. I know it's a little counterintuitive, but the past, things that had happened to me, and they're now over and they were floating away into the ocean. And things that were still to come were behind me. I'm standing facing the ocean. So that was my contemplation on time. And really, it was about how the trials and the tribulations and the things that have made you who you are. Remember, everything that's happened to you in your life up to now is part and parcel of who you are and what shapes you, isn't it? And so, as the cycle happens, it inevitably touches your heart and your spirit. As new things happen to you, you'll be inevitably shaped by things that have happened to you in the past. So it kind of becomes a part of who you are. And I think that's one of the reasons why we need to embrace the things that have happened to us in the past, the life that we've led. At the very least, we know that God has allowed these things to happen. And I want to start talking about free will, and I want to get into that. It's such a deep, complicated subject. I would rather write a poem about it than discuss it. But anyway, that was my idea behind this contemplation of time, and the title of the poem was called "And Still the River Flows." And so I'll just read it in. You see if you get anything out of it. I hope that you do. And still the river flows. 100 years, 1,000 years, and still the rivers flow. I stand upon the bridge and look. Where does the water go? It flows in perpetual motion. It travels swiftly under me as it goes down to the ocean and is swallowed by the sea. It rises there again once more. It rises to the sky, taken up into an open door as time begins to fly. It flies towards the mountain and falls again as rain. And as it passes under me, it knows something of my pain. It exists for just a moment, the water that I see, and then before I know it, it is carried far from me. If I look on down the river, it quickly vanishes from sight, and yet it's still a part of one as the sun exists at night. Trauma passes out of you and life it rushes on, yet still a very part of you. It's never really gone. The past goes on before us, and the future's right behind. In the river there's no chaos. Not to look is to be blind. Time exists for man alone. There is no time before the throne. No future, no past that I can see. A single moment is eternity. Who can stop this river and its never-ending flow? The one who started all the rain. It's to him that I must go. For time and space it is but one. It carries faith and hope and sin. Yet in the world that is to come, new wine shall find a new wineskin. For time is but the sum of the whole, yet in heaven it ceases to be. For there, love and love alone exists to finally set us free.